Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Reading Mythology with Daniel. So, it is Super Bowl Sunday today. Hope everybody's that likes to watch sports is enjoying their time. Oh, good. I see it right there. Okay, all gone. And then I hope that everybody's having a good day and everybody's keeping warm or cool. It's very warm down here where I am. Anyway, as we're going through, we're going to stop and talk about it. But today, getting into the story of Theseus and then going to slay Medusa. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep getting, or not. No, we did that. Theseus in the labyrinth. Medusa already got done. So we're in the labyrinth now. So that's what we're going to do. Anyway. So we're going to back up a little bit. The last time we were together, let me see if I can remember. Oh, yeah. So Theseus met Medea, which, if we all remember, she was the witch in the Golden Fleece story. And she's probably still pretty upset at human beings, especially human men. She's probably pretty upset. So I imagine what she's going to do is not going to be good. At least not for them. Anyway, let's get to it. Nothing to it but to do it, right? All right. The plan, okay, let's see. The plan was not his, but Medea's, the heroine of the quest of the Golden Fleece, who thought her through her sorcery, who knew through her sorcery who Theseus was. She's like, maybe she had like this crystal ball, maybe, that like she could speak to, and it told her. I imagine she's kind of like she had fled to Athens when she left Corinth in her winged car, and she had acquired great influence over Aegeus, which she did not want to be disturbed by the appearance of a son. But as she handed him the poisoned cup, Theseus, wishing to make himself known at once to his father, drew his sword. The king instantly recognized it and dashed the cup to the ground. Medea escaped, as she always did, and got safely away to Asia. I wonder if she rode a broom. Wouldn't that be funny? She put her broom like the Wicked Witch of the West. It's like, that's what I imagine she looks like. Because there's no pictures, right? It's just like the Wicked Witch of the West with a green face. Or maybe she didn't have a green face. Maybe she looked more like Maleficent. Who knows? The king then proclaimed to the country that Theseus was his son and heir, and their new heir apparent soon had an opportunity to endear himself to the Athenians. Years before his arrival in Athens, a terrible misfortune had happened to the city. Minos, the powerful ruler of Crete, had lost his only son, Androgeus. I think that's what how you pronounce it. While the young man was visiting the Athenian king, King Aegeus had done what no host should ever do. He had sent his guests on an expedition full of peril to kill the dangerous bull. Instead, the bull had killed the youth. Minos invaded the country, captured Athens, and declared that he would raze it to the ground unless every 9 years the people sent him a tribute of 7 maidens and 7 youths. A horrible fate awaited these young creatures. When they reached Crete, they were given to the Minotaur to devour. The Minotaur was a monster, half bull, half human, the offspring of Minos' wife. I have to look it up. Okay, it's Pasiphae. Cool. We're going to keep moving on. And a wonderfully beautiful bull. The Poseidon had given this bull to Minos in order that he should sacrifice it to him. But Minos could not bear to slay it, and had kept it for himself. To punish him, Poseidon had made Pasiphae fall madly in love with it. Oh, that's great. So the god's like, do this. And then people keep like, no, you know that thing you gave me called free will? No, I'm not going to do it. And like, even though the gods consistently punish people for defying them, they still do it. They still get punished. It's like, he's like, he should have just done what he should have done. Now his life is going to be messed up. Anyway, when the Minotaur was born, Minos did not kill him. He had Daedalus, a great architect and inventor, construct a palace of confinement for him, from which escape was impossible. Daedalus built the labyrinth, famous throughout the world. Once inside, he would go endlessly along its twisting paths without ever finding the exit. To this place, the young Athenians were each time taken and left to the Minotaur. There was no possible way to escape. In whatever direction they ran, they might be running straight into the monster. If they stood still, he might at any moment emerge from the maze. Such was the doom which awaited 14 youths and maidens a few days after Theseus reached Athens. The time had come for the next installment of the tribute. At once Theseus came forward and offered to be one of the victims. All loved for him for his goodness and admired him for his nobility, but they had no idea that he intended to try to kill the Minotaur. He told his father, however, and promised him that if he succeeded, he would have the black sail which the ship with its cargo of misery always carried changed. Whoa. Let's see, always carried. Yeah. Oh, and cool artwork. It's pretty cool artwork. I like it. Changed to a white one, so that Aegeus could know long before it came to land that his son was safe. It's a noble idea. When the young victims arrived in Crete, they were paraded before the inhabitants on their way to the labyrinth. Minos' daughter, Adrian, was among the spectators, and she fell in love with Theseus at first sight as he marched past her. It's always love at first sight in these, man. All these stories, always love at first sight. It's like everyone, it's like love at first sight. But the chances of that happening are pretty low, right? Like realistically. Love at first sight. Guess it gives you something to hope for. Maybe that's it. She sent for Daedalus and told him he must show her a way to get out of the labyrinth. And she sent for Theseus and told him she would bring about his escape if he would promise to take her back to Athens and marry her. As may be imagined, he made no difficulty about that, and she gave him the clue that she had got from Daedalus, a ball of thread which was to fasten at one end to the inside of the door and unwind as he went on. This he did, and certain that he could not retrace his steps whenever he chose. He could retrace his steps. He walked boldly into the maze, looking for the Minotaur. He came upon him asleep and fell upon him, pinning him to the ground, and with his fists, he had no other weapon, he battered the monster to death. Beat the crap out of it. He must have been strong, or maybe like that. He just kicked in like his, what is it? I'm gonna live. Like, it's like survival instinct. That's what it is. As an oak tree falls on the hillside, crushing all that lies beneath, so Theseus, he presses out the life, the brute's savage life, and now it lies dead. Only the head sways slowly, but the horns are useless now. When Theseus lifted himself up from that terrific struggle, the ball of thread lay where he had dropped it. With it in his hands, the way out was clear. The others followed and taken... I gotta look it up. Okay, so going back is Ariadne. Okay, then we go. With them, they fled to the ship and over the sea towards Athens. On the way there, they put in at the island of Naxos, which happened, and what happened then is differently reported. One story says that Theseus deserted Ariadne. She was asleep and he sailed away without her. but Dionysus found her and confronted her and comforted her. The other story is much more favorable to Theseus. She was extremely seasick, and he set her ashore to recover while he returned to the ship to do some necessary work. A violent wind carried him out to sea and kept him there a long time. On his return, he found that Ariadne had died, and he was deeply afflicted. Both stories agree that when they drew near to Athens, he forgot to hoist the white sail. Either his joy at the success of his voyage put every other thought out of his head, or his grief for Ariadne. The black sail was seen by his father, King Aegeus, from the Acropolis, where for days he had watched with the sea with straining eyes. It was to him the sign of his son's death, and he threw himself down from a rocky height into the sea and was killed. Wow, that's rough. The dad just ended his existence because the son made a mistake. It's like Romeo and Juliet. It's sad. The sea into which he fell was called the Aegean ever after. So Theseus became the king of Athens, a most wise and disinterested king. He declared to his people that he did not wish to rule over them. He wanted a people's government where all would be equal. He resigned his royal power and organized a commonwealth, built a council hall where the citizens should gather and vote. The only office he kept for himself was that of the commander-in-chief. Thus Athens became, of all earth's cities, the happiest and most prosperous, the only true home of liberty, the one place in the world where the people govern themselves. I think we need some of that. Maybe just a little bit. The world's chaotic. We need peace and love and understanding. That's what we need. It was for this reason that in the great war of the Seven against Thebes, when the victorious Thebians refused burial to those of the enemy who had died, the vanquished returned to Theseus in Athens for help, believing that free men under such a leader would never consent to having the helpless dead wronged. They did not turn in vain. Theseus led his army against Thebes, conquering her, and forced her to allow them to be buried. But when he was victor, he did not return evil to the Thebians for evil they had done. He showed himself the perfect knight. He refused to let his army enter and loot the city. He had come not to harm Thebes, but to bury the dead. And the duty done, he led his soldiers back to Athens. In many other stories, he shows the same qualities. He received the aged Odysseus, whom everyone else had cast out. Odysseus? Yeah, we're going to go there. He was with him when he died, sustaining and comforting him. He protected his two helpless daughters and sent them safely home after their father's death. When Hercules, in his madness, killed his wife and children, upon his return to sanity, determined to kill himself, Theseus alone stood by him. Hercules' other friends fled, fearing to be polluted by the presence of one who had done so horrible a deed. But Theseus gave him his hand, roused his courage, told him to die would be a coward's act, and took him to Athens. All the cares of state, however, and all the deeds of knight-errantry, to defend the wronged and hopeless, could not restrain Theseus' love for danger for the sake of danger. He went to the country of the Amazons, the woman warriors, some say with Hercules, some say alone, and brought away one of them, whose name is given sometimes as... So I can't seem to find a pronunciation for it. So I'm going to call this person A, okay? Sometimes as H. I'm going to try to pronounce it. Hippolyta. I don't know. It is certain that the son she bore, Theseus, was named Hippolytus. Sure. and after his that after his birth, the Amazonians came to rescue her and invade Attica, the country around Athens, even making their way into the city, where they finally defeated and no other enemy entered Attica as long as Theseus lived. That's awesome. But he had many other adventures. He was one of the men who sailed on the Argo to find the Golden Fleece. He took part in the great Caledonian hunt, when the king of Caledon called upon the noblest in Greece to help him kill the terrible boar which was laying waste his country. During the hunt, Theseus saved the life of his rash friend Pirate. Sure. As he did, indeed, a number of times. Pirate was quite as adventurous as Theseus, but by no means as successful, so that he was perpetually in trouble. Theseus was devoted to him and always helped him out. The friendship between them came about through an especially rash act on P's part. It occurred to him that he would like to see for himself if Theseus was a great hero, as he was said to be, and forthwith went into Attica and stole some of Theseus's cattle. No wonder he's always in trouble. That's stupid. When he heard that Theseus was pursuing him, instead of hurrying away, he turned around and went to meet him, with the intention, of course, of deciding then and there which was the better man. But as the two faced each other, P, impulsively as always, suddenly forgot everything in his admiration of the other. He held out his hand to him and cried, "I will submit to any penalty you impose. You be the judge, Theseus." So Theseus, delighted at this warm-hearted action, answered, "All I want is for you to be my friend and brother in arms." And they took a solemn oath of friendship. Well, that was nice. He could have, done whatever, but that was nice. That was nice of Theseus. When P, who was king of the... I gotta look it up. Who was the king of Lapithae, married, Theseus was, of course, one of the guests, and was exceedingly useful there. He seems like he's everywhere. He's like always everywhere, but helpful. So that's good. The marriage feast was perhaps the most unfortunate that ever took place. The centaurs, creatures who had the body of a horse and the chest and face of a man, were related to the bride and came to the wedding. They proceeded to get drunk and to seize the women. That's great. Theseus leaped to the defense of the bride and struck down the centaur who was trying to carry her off. A terrible battle followed. But this guy, conquered and finally drove the whole race of centaurs out of the country. Theseus helping them to an end. Okay, it seems like anyway. But in the last adventure the two undertook, he could not save his friend. Quite characteristically, Prit, after the bride of the disastrous wedding feast was dead, decided that for his second wife he would try to get most carefully guarded lady of all in the universe, none other than Persephone herself. Theseus agreed, of course, to help him, but stimulated probably by the idea of a magnificently dangerous undertaking, declared that first he would himself carry off Helen, the future heroine of Troy, then a child, and when she was grown, marry her. Oh, that's fantastic. Sounds like grooming to me. Let's do that. It's not the label, but it sounds like it to me. Carry off Helen, future heroine of Troy, then a child, and when she was grown, marry her. That's wild, man. On that note, we're going to just stop there. What a story so far. This Theseus guy, man, he seems too good to be true. I'm just going to put that out there. He's always useful, always getting into scraps, but he comes out smelling like roses. You don't ever, like, is this guy just like, is he really a god, but a person? I don't know. But for whatever reason, he's doing good. You know, hopefully he doesn't take this little girl. That wouldn't be good. Anyway, we'll continue next time reading the story. Hope everybody has a great Monday and great rest of the Super Bowl. Whoever voting for wins. Have a good day, guys. See you next time.